The clamoring over video games is kind of sick. It's a sickness, whatever you want to call it. It's really not good. I mean, we saw Insomniac, which created Sunset Overdrive on Xbox, get bought out by Sony, which there's nothing wrong with that. I really don't care that they bought them. It's whatever's whatever. I was never a big fan of Insomniac. Sunset Overdrive is definitely an underrated game for Xbox, but I mean, shit like that just doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? For instance, when Insomniac came out with the Spider-Man game, I didn't doubt that it was going to be a good game. I mean, Insomniac made Sunset Overdrive, and it's very much a good game. And you had people on Xbox, going all crazy because they got Spider-Man on PlayStation and we don't have it on Xbox. And then Microsoft, they buy out Bethesda, and Sony fans, the ponies do the same thing as the bots, and the bots do the same thing as the ponies, you know. And then you get both of those communities ganging up on Nintendo people because Nintendo is the only company that gives a damn about certain franchises, unlike both Sony and Microsoft, where games like Bayonetta, games like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, you know, they got bought out by Nintendo because neither Sony nor Microsoft saw the potential in the Bayonetta series after the first game. And you got both Sony and Xbox people saying that it can't reach its full potential on Nintendo. Well, for PlayStation fans, Sony didn't give a shit about that game in the first place. So maybe you need to go have a conversation with Sony before speaking up on this. And for the Microsoft fans, um, Bayonetta is not an online multiplayer game, and Nintendo has outsold you in multiple generations back to back. So it would be more successful on Nintendo than ever on Xbox. Okay? So you might want to check out how you say some shit. You dig what I'm saying? And I like Xbox. I got nothing against Xbox. I play on Xbox. That's where I do my streaming for Twitch is on Xbox. But I'm not gonna sit here and act like both communities ain't dumb. Just one's louder than the other because one's bigger than the other in numbers and the amount of stupid. And the amount of stupid's only able to be echoed so loud because of the number of people. And that, of course, would be Sony. Okay? But again, I'm taking nothing away from Sony or Microsoft. They publicly went out and said Bayonetta did nothing for them financially. Okay? So if me being a fan of Xbox, when I see something like that, I look at Phil, I look at Major Nelson, and I'm like, how stupid can you be? When I hear something retarded come out of Jeff's mouth over at PlayStation, I say, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because I don't care about the companies. I care about the software. I care about the video games. And the fact that Nintendo has consecutively sold out Xbox for pretty much out of 4 consoles now, 3 out of the 4, and well, no, 2 out of the 3, I believe, is what the numbers truly sit at. I believe Xbox has been a third place console for a majority of its lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it did come in swinging when it was PlayStation 3 versus the 360. But a lot of people don't like to say it, but Nintendo Wii outsold both of them. You can say whatever you want to downplay that. It's not going to change the fact that the numbers are what they are. PlayStation 3 only sold like 80 something million, while the Nintendo Wii sold over 100 million. Okay. And then you have with the Xbox One, I know what you're going to be, well, the Wii U didn't outsell the fucking Xbox because it didn't outsell anything. Well, you're forgetting the flip side to the Wii U, which is the 3DS. The 3DS outsold the Xbox One. Okay? That's Nintendo taking that generation in the worst way possible. The 3DS sold like shit in comparison to the Nintendo DS, which is at 154 million. Yeah. So, I mean, it hurts when you hear that the 360 generation and the PS3 generation got curve stomped by Nintendo on both the handheld side of things and the core console side of things. And I mean curve stomped. 154 million DSs. PlayStation Portable only sold 80 million. PlayStation 3 only sold 80 plus million. The DS and the Wii sold over 250 million combined. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that it was the same thing for the PS4 and Xbox One generation. However, the 3DS beat the shit out of the Xbox One, and the Xbox One was leagues more powerful than the 3DS, but it still didn't help it. You see what I'm saying? I have an Xbox One. I can respect the fact that it's an Xbox One and has a lot of power and all that shit. But I cannot avoid the fact that the 3DS sold way better than the one ever did. You see what I'm saying? So when I see things like these incredibly stupid ass comments, well, Bayonetta can't reach its full potential if it's just on Nintendo. Says who? The Nintendo Switch is selling just fine. It's almost at 100 million units sold, which means it's damn close to the PS4 in sales numbers. Way closer than Microsoft ever hoped to get. Why would it not do good on the Nintendo Switch? You see what I'm saying? Why would I put it on Xbox? If I'm Nintendo, why am I going to put my game on your console other than the fact that you put your games on my consoles? But let's not sit here and act like Bayonetta is a game to just give to the Xbox because we got Ori and the Blind Forest. No, if you want, I'll give you a Metroidvania game, but I'm not giving you Metroid because that's too high profile. Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will and the Wisp are both games that are good games. But, I mean, come on, these are games that, just like Cuphead, all these games could be considered indie type of games. And Bayonetta is not an indie game. That's a AAA game. It's a blockbuster game. So if you want me to give you Bayonetta, and this is if I'm Nintendo, if you want me to give you Bayonetta, I'm going to need a blockbuster title. I'm going to need Halo, the first Halo game. I'm going to need a Gears of War. I don't care which one. A Gears of War. I need a AAA title from you, Xbox. I'm going to need you to give me one of your blockbusters for one of my blockbusters. I can give you an indie all day because you've given me 3. But if you want my blockbuster title, I'm going to need a blockbuster title from you. Because it's not like your company gave a damn about this franchise in the first place. And then with PlayStation, again, Nintendo is catching their ass when it comes to the Switch. They are coming up on that ass. Think about it. What, Xbox had, what was it? It was like 50-something million units sold. Okay, that's still, they didn't even come halfway to the mark. You see what I'm saying? So if Nintendo's at 80 plus million right now and it's 120, that's 40. And you look at Xbox and it's like 60. You see what I'm saying? I would much rather go with PlayStation fucking with Nintendo, but I'm gonna need Square to come up off that Final Fantasy 7 remake, and I'm gonna need them to come up off that Final Fantasy 16 remake, or 16 game, not remake, but 16 in general. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna have to let me get that Final Fantasy. You dig? Or you're gonna have to give me, say, Spider-Man Miles Morales, because Spider-Man in general. Why? Because Bayonetta is a exclusive to Xbox or to fucking Nintendo, excuse me. I'm like trying to keep control of all three. I'm thinking different games in my head at the same time, but you see what I'm saying. You want me to give you Bayonetta? I saved Bayonetta. You didn't see the potential in it. I wanted a blockbuster game that's exclusive to you. And Spider-Man is a comic book game, and it's a very popular comic book character. So let me have that, and I'll let your fans have Bayonetta. That's how I would go about it. If I'm Nintendo, I'm shopping who's got the best deal. Look, we got Bayonetta, we got Marvel Ultimate Alliance over here, Xbox, PlayStation. If you want these games, I'm gonna need games that carry the same weight. You dig what I'm saying? I'll give them to you, but I need the same weight in return. If you give me Spider-Man, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, you put Spider-Man on Nintendo Switch, I give you Bayonetta. I give you Bayonetta 1, 2, and 3, all of them, because you giving me all those games, so we working with each other. You see what I'm saying? And that should be how it is. It shouldn't be no bullshit back and forth about, well, the console this, the console that. Who the fuck cares about the damn console, man? It's 2021. Hell, it's finna be 2022. Consoles are irrelevant at this point. You don't need a fucking console anymore. Okay? It's not necessary. Like, you don't actually need a console. Okay, you have Steam, which is coming out with a Nintendo Switch looking thing, which runs xCloud, the computer version of xCloud. And even the xCloud that will, or not xCloud, but Game Pass that's on the computer, you can run it on there. You know, Uncle Phil was talking about that. These actual consoles, like the Series S and the Series X, even the Xbox One, S, X, whatever. You know what I'm saying? PlayStation 5 digital, PlayStation 4. None of this shit is needed except for the PlayStation side of things to play these games, because unfortunately, unlike Xbox, they don't really care where you play their games as long as you play their games. And considering the amount of games and content that is going to services like Steam, the fact that you can get things out there like these mini consoles that look a lot like Nintendo Switches on steroids, it makes the need for a console and games to be tied to a television. That's what I keep trying to tell people. Look, the reason I love what's going on in gaming is because I've been a portable gamer my entire life. And portability is way more convenient than having to be strapped down to a fucking television and unable to actually associate yourself in the world and be out in the world. Now, with the Nintendo Switch, it has become very apparent. With things like Google Stadia, it has become very apparent. People love playing games. People love being social. And one thing that mixes really well is convenience. That is the number one thing here. Convenience is king. I don't care what company you are. Convenience is king. If I can play Xbox games without needing to be at home, without needing to be with the actual console and have that controller in my hand like that, with the console attached to a television, all I need is a controller and a screen. Pippin, that is so much more convenient. I can go to a friend's house. I can go to a cousin and them out in another fucking state. I can go on a plane trip, some shit like that. I can do anything, and the world is actually open, and I'm still playing my games. You see what I'm saying? That convenience factor is where gaming is going, and it's been going that way for a long time. And I got into an argument on Facebook, or not Facebook, but Twitter about that. You know, consoles are not necessary. No, you don't really need them. I mean, there's false shit within these companies making you believe you need a console when really you don't. You don't need a console. So much so, the future of Nintendo with cloud gaming. You know what I'm saying? You can buy games like, what is it, Control through the cloud. I think there's a Resident Evil 7 through the cloud. It is very apparent that streaming the game is the way a lot of shit's going. I mean, we officially have Xbox with xCloud, which is game streaming. We have Google Stadia, game streaming, which is something I use on this channel. You guys see it all the time, man. Go check out all the Google Stadia videos, man. Check it out for yourself. Check out the description down below. If you don't want to spend the money on it, I understand that. It's an option to do so, but take the chance. 2 months on your boy, link in the description. Go give it a try. What do you got to lose? 60 days of free content from Google Stadia, where it's 2 months. 2 months. That means you're going to get a total of like 8 games on Pro, right? You're getting a total of about 8 games on the Pro membership, because that's what's free. And then every weekend or every other weekend, they give games away to play for the weekend. And I've been doing that, man. Rainbow Six Siege, free to play for the weekend. 2K21, where it was Tiger Woods, golf, free for the weekend. I don't know. I have that one. What was it? Madden was free for the weekend. That's what it was. Madden 22, free for the weekend. Games like that. You see what I'm saying? So do you really need a console anymore? I gotta say you don't. I can understand if you live in a part of the world where the internet is not that good. I'm not saying that they're not necessary. I'm just saying they're not needed. They are necessary because the internet, yes, is still nowhere near as powerful as it should be, but we are there where it can still exist. And even where people are like, oh, it's terrible, well, that's the beauty of everything, man. Look at gaming. Look where it came from. In the 70s with Pong, in the 80s with the 8-bit games, 16 bits in the 90s, 64-bit, all the way up to the digital HD era in the 2000s. Man, come on now. You mean to tell me in a industry we have grown with the graphical output of these things, with the performance of these things? You're telling me that streaming is just too foreign to do? Come on now. I'm not buying that, neither should you. Alright guys, this video done gone on way longer than I expected it to. I did not expect to go, left field like I did, but hey, it happens. So what I'm gonna do, like I said, check out the description for Stadia 2 months on your boy. Alright, no commitment needed, just 60 days if you want them. If not, it's no big deal. It's on you. Do what you want to. But I always tell people who want to knock Stadia, please try it before you buy it, or try it before you judge it. Before you formulate an opinion based off of other people's opinions, why don't you try it? That way you can see that those other opinions you were going to base it on don't really know what they were speaking upon to begin with. And anything you see on this channel involving me and Google Stadia comes from me personally and my experiences from them. It's not going to be like your experience. It's my experience and me being with Stadia for as long as I have. Same thing with Xbox Game Pass. My views on it when it first came out, completely different from today. Yes, I still believe Game Pass takes value away from video games when they're being made, as opposed to maintaining value of like $60+ after release. I mean, look at the games that have come out. Crackdown 3 has been in a horrible state for a long time. When it launched, Sea of Thieves was not in a good state. It was nowhere near as good as it is now. So that's 2 games that are high profile that are day one on Game Pass. So when I say things like Game Pass is a good value for people who are on a budget, but its value on its actual games is kind of shitty, I have examples of that, and that's what I mean. But I use Game Pass. I know the value of it. I don't want to spend $60 on games all the time. I'm all digital. I already don't want to spend $60 on games when I know they're not worth $60 by being all digital. You see what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you later, and peace.